Hi, this is Pierre-Yves Delacote, working at Planet Technologies. Today I wanted to talk about some tools, especially Microsoft Teams, which is really the hype tool today in terms of collaboration. And it's pretty good. It's killing a little by little Slack because it has a huge scope of what you can do in terms of collaboration. It's a powerful tool, but a lot of customers are struggling to define what are the appropriate use cases to put in place with Teams, especially when you want to start the adoption journey. So, how do you find your use case? I think a good framework to do so is to ask yourself a simple question. Where do you collaborate the most? And what kind of tools or in what environment are you collaborating the most? And most of the time, what I've seen is people are collaborating two ways. The first is the tool, and it's the worst tool to collaborate, and it's Outlook. It's your email. So basically, I'm sure that 80% of the people are collaborating, sending email back and forth today. And this is really a pain for everybody because you don't have a lot of context in email. Uh, you don't understand where it's coming from, why is it targeted to you sometimes. You don't even know why you're in a thread, and sometimes you're not even in a thread, and somebody add you in the thread, and you're totally lost. And there's a lot of negative energy going with Outlook, bad usage of Outlook. So that's the first place where you collaborate today is in Outlook with your emails. The second place where you collaborate, after sending email back and forth, you decide to meet face to face. So you send a meeting request to your team or a bunch of people, and you meet physically or maybe remotely, but you meet to discuss about what you were maybe saying in your emails, to clarify things or to decide what to do or whatever. So there's really two main places where you collaborate: in email and through meetings. So if you want really to find the best use case, try to see in what context you send the most emails back and forth, and which is really annoying to you, and in what context you have meetings all the time, recurring meetings or whatever kind of meetings that happens a lot of time in your day-to-day work or weekly work. And then you can find out that there's probably in those two areas there's probably a need of a team, because a team essentially it's really powerful because you might, and it's not very good, but you might still send some emails, but the main idea is, rather than sending email, you centralize all the conversation in a team. You organize the way you have this conversation by what we call channels. So it's some sort of work stream. So when you have a conversation, it's in a channel, so you understand the context, because in a channel you have previous conversations. Even if you're a new member of the team, you can see the previous conversations. You have all the files that are stored in the team, in the channel. You may have some application like your CRM system, if it's a conversation about a customer, or a planning, if it's a project, or a website, if you need some information coming from a website. So there's a cockpit in the channel that you can find all the context around the information, around the documents, around the application you need to have the best context around the subject you're discussing. So, and then there are also the ability to plan meetings through channels with the team and record the meetings. So if you have important meetings and you want people to understand what were the decisions made during these meetings, or what was the discussion during these meetings, then you can record it, and people can view it after the meetings. And also it's a place where people can ask questions, quick questions, without having to regroup in a meeting, and at their pace, on their time zone. Maybe they're a team is spread all over the world, so you cannot make people meet at the same time at the same place, or even in a virtual environment, it's complicated. So you can ask questions along the way, along the day, and people can answer later on. And because everything is stored in the channel, so you can see what was a question, and then you can answer to the question if you have the answer afterwards. And everybody, it's transparent, so everybody can see what the discussion is about, and weigh in with their knowledge, their help, potential help. So a team is really an environment where you're basically, in a way, you're meeting all the time. It's constant meetings, but it's not synchronously. It can be synchronous, but sometimes it's asynchronous. So you can answer questions after the meeting, or after, when people are not at their desk. So it gives you more leverage to exchange information, discuss, find solutions more transparently, faster, and it keeps you in the meeting, in the context of what's going on. And you can, that way, you more efficient, because all the decisions you're making, or the team is making, all the work you're doing is shared with everybody at all time. So people really can find what's going on right away. If there's an urgency, they can figure out. They have all the information. All the cockpit is there in a channel, in a team, so they can make the fastest decision, and where they're really well aware, and they have all the information they can rely on to make a decision. So I think that's a really a revolutionary environment, Teams, Microsoft Teams, because it transforms the way you work and collaborate. You can collaborate when you want. You have all the context. It's a cockpit access of all the information you need for your work. And even when you will be more mature about using Teams, you can add some apps, some bots. You can have help from AI. You can have ask a question not to a person but to a bot who will, through AI, will synthesize, summarize all the information that he gathered, for example, in a FAQ, and it will give you the answer he found based on the keyword you used. And so it's really a powerful environment. Start with meetings and conversation and add some context through tabs and documents and so on. And it will be really successful. And try also to, when you see people sending email to talk about a subject that should be in the conversation, make them understand that it's a better place to share these questions and their discussion into an open, transparent environment, which is Teams, because it might not be better for them right away. They might not see this way because they're comfortable with email. But really the key here is that having transparent discussion helps people who are in the team at the moment you're discussing to better understand what's going on, but also it will help people who will onboard in the team later to understand the context. So that was the tip of the day, how to better use Teams and how to figure out what use cases are the best for you. Think about where you send emails a lot, back and forth, and it's annoying for you. There's probably a team behind that you will need to implement. And think about the meetings you have with people. There's probably a need for Teams, because if you have a meeting, that means that you have conversation during this meeting. So you might want to keep on this conversation after the meeting. So you will need a team for that. So that's the tip of the day. See you.